Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I feel like you did it so well last time.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to our new episode of She Sounds Unfiltered.
Hosted by Sharp Edges Records.
Cut again. We're doing it again.
Okay.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to our new episode of She Sounds Unfiltered.
Hosted by Sharp Edges Records.
Let's go. So, tell me about you. You were just in New York.
Oh my gosh, I was. And I was just thinking we have not seen each other for weeks.
Literally.
Weeks. And when we started this, we were saying, oh, we're going to
Do it weekly.
Weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly. And then your girls were incredibly busy. And so this was
Yes.
the next available date. But you know what? We were just saying we are busy, but in the most amazing way. There's awesome stuff happening right now. I know you're working on a ton of amazing projects. And I was just in New York City, which was incredible.
It
I
looked
went
like so
to-
much fun.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It really was amazing. The event was hosted by Women in Music. It was called Safe Spaces, and it was a launch for that specific initiative, Safe Spaces.
Wow.
It was incredible. I mean, everybody that was there was so passionate about creating more safe spaces in the industry.
Wow.
And, you know, honestly, with concrete action, like how can we actually do it? And while Women in Music obviously focuses more on women in music,
Yes.
I loved that the language that they had was about everyone, because not just women experience harassment in the studio, in the music industry in general, it's everyone. So they were saying we want every person to feel safe. And, you know, so they were talking about specific things that we can do to help that. And it was just an incredible experience to be there.
Nice that being around the same energy and just being able to just give your put your point out there and be able to share that with people that understand that point of view. You know what I mean? Because it's different talking to certain people that maybe they haven't gone through that, thankfully, because you don't want to go through that. But then I feel like people that are supporting this cause are people that unfortunately have been through that and understand, and they're really they're willing to receive even more ideas on how to make that place safe for everyone.
Absolutely. And I think it's sad to say, but it's true that most people have a story.
Yes.
And most people have an experience where they did not feel safe, or they were harassed or assaulted or abused. And so there are too many stories is the point.
But I feel like now is the point where we say enough, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like now we're standing up for each other. When we bring this energy in the room, I feel like more women, more men in general, we can all feel safe. And especially being around each other, it just brings that safety and support that we need. Because I feel like there's so much out there that we just need to support each other. You know what I mean? If we don't have that support, if we don't have that safety net, how can we rely on people, you know?
Absolutely. And another thing that the event went into was, what do you do when a situation happens that you are a bystander for, but it's not happening to you?
Yes.
And that, I think, is such incredibly important information, because statistically, if somebody's in a group of people versus it just being you seeing the experience, people are less likely to intervene, because there are so many people, they think, oh, somebody else will intervene.
Yeah.
But the reality is,
Instead of taking initiative.
exactly. A lot of people see it that way. And so
That is sad.
they went into specifics on how you can intervene safely,
Yeah.
which I think is incredibly
Yeah.
important information. And so they're launching a resource directory that's coming out in a couple of weeks with specific resources, companies that are implementing these safety measures with concrete action.
Wow.
And then they want to roll out later safety courses that companies
I like that. I like
you know,
that.
also follow and run with.
Yes. I feel like we need that. Like, we need education on that. So, because I'm sure there's people that want to help, but they don't know how, right?
Yes.
So I feel like these things that they're going to be teaching are going to be so helpful for those people that have the intention.
Absolutely. And one other thing that they touched on that I think is really important is how the music industry is a really special place, but it's also different in the sense that there are so many freelancers and people operating independently that there aren't things like HR that have these protective measures in place for when something does happen. So that's also what we're focusing on, is what can we create in the industry that can be a place that, you know, people that have experienced abuse, harassment can go,
They can go to.
and what are the next steps
Wow, I
without
think that's such a great idea too.
yeah, without fear of repercussions and
Wow.
losing opportunities and things like
Without being
that.
in the blacklist.
The blacklist, exactly. It's hey, if you tell anyone what I did to you or what happened,
Then that's it. We're never working with you again, or you're never
yeah,
gonna hear from us again.
and you'll never hear from my contacts
Nope.
again. There's all this fear around speaking up, so many people are
Man,
silenced.
that happened to me. Obviously, I'm not gonna say names, but it just popped in my mind to share it. It was this person that I was working with, and he's a good producer and everything. And we were like, I was sharing my contacts with him, he was sharing his contacts with me, and he had a girlfriend. And I never even think of having something, or like just some kind of intimacy or anything with people that I personally work with. That's just one of my rules in general. You do you, boo, but that's how I like to work. And we were friends, but then all of a sudden, like, he just decided, like, because there was a whole situation. Basically, he was pretty much scamming one of the artists that he was working with, and
Wow.
I didn't feel right working on that project.
Yeah.
And something just told me, like, you have to tell this girl, like, you have to tell this artist. And she was spending all her life savings, like, she even had an investor, and she was gonna owe money. It was just bad. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, it didn't feel right. It didn't sit right with my spirit. I felt like guilty for being part of that, And I told him, I was like, look, I don't feel okay doing this, and I'm gonna communicate. Like, I'm gonna tell her I don't want to be part of this anymore. You do whatever you want to do with the project. I just can't do it. I don't like scamming people. I don't like taking advantage of people.
Absolutely.
Especially women, independent artists. And when that happened, he got so mad at me that I lost a really big contact.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, God is good. So after that, I was like, I still have my contacts. I still could do whatever I'm doing now. But it was just really sad to see how he completely, like, deleted that contact from me. Like, he was just like, you want to do that? You want to, like, you don't want to follow my game? Then let me just
Wow.
remove this for you, this opportunity that I opened for myself too. Because he gave me the contact, but I worked hard for that,
Absolutely.
And then that contact, this woman from a big label, never once reached out to me again. From being like, she was so sweet. She was like, Aria, I love your music. I love this. I love that. We should work on more projects together. But he was my direct contact for her. You know what I mean? That introduced me to her.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure there was some kind of talk there that ended up being like, oh, I'm never gonna talk to Aria again then, if that's the way she works. So it's sad. It's sad because it can close doors for you, and
Yeah.
you just, at the end of the day, to be honest, it just felt right to tell the truth. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
I don't like
yes.
doing dirty business. I really don't. I don't appreciate that. I don't want it to be done to me, so I don't want to do it to other people, because I feel like karma is real. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want that, like coming to me, so I'm not gonna do it to anyone else. So I am glad that I made that decision, but in that moment, of course, it felt like really bad, the fact that he took that contact away from me, even though I worked super hard to get it. But that's just part of what we're talking about like the blacklist, about
Yes.
taking away opportunities because you try to make the right decision.
And I mean, first off, thank you for even sharing that story
Yeah.
and being willing to talk about it, because I know how hurtful those things can be,
Yeah.
and the shame that you can feel even when there's nothing to be ashamed
No,
of.
even when you're doing the right thing, it just feels like they just try to make you feel guilty because you're trying
Yes.
to do right.
Absolutely. And so another example of people having stories, and it's just so sad and unfortunate that so many people do. And I have my own stories. I mean, I
Yeah.
was being consistently sexually harassed by a producer that I knew.
Oh my gosh.
And when I tried to speak out about it to a producer that I was working with consistently, he was working so much with that producer that he was just unwilling to believe me.
Wow.
He didn't believe me until
That is
one
horrible.
night
That is
it
horrible.
happened again, and
You
there
just-
was somebody there that saw it happen,
Thank God.
seeing me being incredibly uncomfortable, him like putting his arms up, and I won't go into like the
yeah.
specifics, but very clearly showing him this is not something I want. And there was somebody that saw it happening who then told that producer I was working with, and then he believed me.
I'm
but it shouldn't
so
take that.
sorry you had to go through that. Nobody has to go through that. Like, no is no. When we say yes, go ahead.
And guess
But
what? It doesn't even have to be no. It can be read someone's body language.
That's
or if they do not say, hell yes,
yeah.
then it's a no.
Yeah.
If they say, I guess, sure,
yeah.
it's also no.
Yeah.
You know, the concept around consent
Yes.
is just, if they don't say, no, stop that right now,
Yeah.
then it's not saying no.
Yeah.
No, read somebody. If somebody really wants something, they
They'll
will
show
show
it.
you.
Yes.
Yes. And so I think just around that consent in general, there's so much learning to do. But yeah, just bringing that up again because we have stories and it's just so sad. And so that's why I'm so excited to get involved with the Safe Spaces initiative because I want to make changes that younger me would have been stoked to see.
Wow.
And
I
would
love
have
that.
been protected by.
Yes.
Because young women, young people deserve to be protected. They should be able to go after their dreams without fear and, you know, without worrying that someone's going to abuse or assault them and they can't say anything and they're silenced.
That's just the worst. The worst. And they, that like you just said, they try to silence you.
Absolutely.
And that's the worst part. It's like you're just scared, you know, at that moment, because it's like you're talking about your dream, you're talking about your career, you're talking about your success that you've been working hard for. It can be shattered in a matter of seconds because somebody said the wrong thing. Because honestly, the reason why they want to keep it a secret is because clearly they are embarrassed, because nobody wants to, like, everything that's coming out now with between, there's a couple names out there in the industry that messed up pretty bad between underage stuff, and you know, it's becoming more clear that it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yes, and when you brought up the younger underage being harassed, it reminds me of grooming, which is very real in the industry, where a young person comes in and an older person takes interest and they don't have the best intentions for that person, but they say, hey, I'm going to make all of your dreams come true. I'm going to help you.
They lure you in.
They lure you in. They make you think that it's someone you can trust.
Yes.
And
someone that not only you can trust, but they'll make you feel like you need them to get somewhere. And that's the thing, is like, because we have that feeling, which has happened to me in the past, but thankfully I didn't follow that, because I was like, you know, I feel like discernment is something big to have. So the fact that those things happen, they did teach me a lot. That's the good thing. It's like sometimes you can be close to the wolf, but you don't have to, you know, when you run away in time, then he cannot get to you. You know what I mean? But I've caught moments that I was like, man, that was close, you know? That I'm glad I was just like, whew, just run. Because I've been in this industry since I was 15.
Wow.
And, you know, like we were talking in the last episode, 16 alone in this country too. So I was like, thank God I had the discernment to like understand a little better each situation and try to make the best, let's say, decision with each, you know?
I mean, yeah, and it's obviously a very personal conversation just in general, and it's a hard thing to talk about, I know. So when people are willing to open up and tell their stories, I mean, it means so much. So just thank you again for just sharing your story.
I feel like this is gonna be beautiful for people to be able to also hear, even though it's something sad. We have grown because of that, and we're trying to make a change, right? So I feel like this is gonna help somebody. So if you have been through that, please know you're not alone.
You're not alone.
There's so much happening in this industry, and we need each other. We need each other, not just in this industry in general, in the world. We need each other. So if you have been through this, know that, you know, there's somebody else that you might not even be aware, but they might have been through that too. And we're all going through it together. But what matters is that we're there to support each other and to love each other no matter what. Especially because we were saying about the whole jealousy thing. We don't need that stuff on top of what we already go through in this industry.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, we talk about empowering each other and supporting each other, cheering each other on. I think is so incredibly important. And yeah, back to the grooming thing, I've experienced it as well. And I think one of the hardest parts of it is there's this trust that is developed. And when things start to happen that you're not comfortable with, there's this shame or this guilt because, oh, they're doing this for me. They're doing that
They're
for me.
doing so much.
They must care about me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in my head. But something that I know we want to touch upon in this episode too is trust your gut.
Yes.
Trust your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Yep.
And that is so something true. That is a lesson that I have learned time and time again as a young woman is if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Trust that intuition. It is leading you in the right direction. And so the fact that with that producer you were working with and you saw what was happening and something inside of you said, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And you followed that is so brave.
Thank you. When one door closes on you, that means that there is so much more out there,
Yes.
you know, that definitely more doors are going to open up. So if you ever feel like you're in a position that you don't feel comfortable in, or you just don't feel like yourself, you feel like you're being stretched in ways that you don't want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then move on. You don't need that. You don't need that in your life, because at the end of the day, also music is about your feelings. It's about also being able to create in a way that you feel comfortable, that you can communicate others your whatever is going on, whatever you want to say in that song. So how can you do that when you're feeling oppressed by these feelings, or like you just don't feel right about it?
Yeah.
How can you be emotionally vulnerable around people that are just making you feel off?
Yes.
You know?
And to touch on the door part, not every door is the right door just because it's open.
Yes.
That as well. It's if there's a door open and there's something that is telling you to run the other direction, then run the other direction. But also, you know, what we want to talk about in this episode is how can we push past fear?
Yes.
And also, how can we determine the difference between running away from something because we're scared of it, or our gut is telling us this isn't right.
Yep.
And we should walk away from this.
Yeah.
I think that that's the part that truly is something that only you can determine.
Yeah.
And it's also trusting you. And how does somebody make you feel? How does a situation make you feel? When you walk away from it, do you feel energized? Do you feel empowered? Motivated, excited? Or do you feel dread?
Or guilty.
Or guilt or shame?
Man, there's so many stories that I'm sure we both could tell. But there was this particular one, this producer, he has done a lot of big records, right? And we were talking about this label that wanted to sign me through him, even though, you know, it was tempting. But he would always come to me and be like, you're like my niece, you know? You're like my niece. And I'm like, I would appreciate that, right? Because in a way it was like, okay, I'm like your niece, so like you care about me. So like obviously we're working on this as a family. But I didn't notice that apparently being his niece meant more than that. And I was like, he would put me in these like situations that I would feel so uncomfortable. The music was on point. Everything was on point. The meetings were there. The problem was that whenever we would be talking, he would just be like really off in that sense. And I would tell him, I was very upfront. I was like, look, I'm not trying to do anything else but music with you. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate our business relationship, but I could never mix one and the other, and I respect you as a person, so I would appreciate that respect back. So then he would back off a little in that sense, and then he would come back. And it got to a point that when he saw that he couldn't get that from me, he literally said this. It was like, I'm not gonna get you up there with a label if I don't have anything with you. He literally said it. He was like, what do I have to gain out of this?
Bold, sir.
Yeah.
Bold.
Yeah. And he was like, mind yourself, he tripled my age too. I was like, brother. I was like, no, I was just
Grooming.
like,
I mean, like, hello.
Yeah. And he was like, you have the talent, the label's interested in you, but you know what? He was like, I have nothing to gain out of this because you and I are not doing more. So that's it.
That's
and honestly, yes. Yeah.
Sadly believable, but also, ugh.
Yeah. And part of me was like, wow, I'm literally losing a huge opportunity, not only with one, but two labels that already wanted to sign me through him. And he basically pulled a card of like, she's my artist. Like, we're not moving forward with it. Can you believe that? And I had not signed with him. But he was the only contact I had to the label. So it's not like the labels could reach out directly. You know what I mean? because he had already made clear in that sense that he was the one managing me and all this stuff. So sometimes labels don't want to get in trouble, so they won't just go and approach the artist if they know that there's somebody in between that they're already talking to. But yeah, that was great. That was great. But you know what? Like, I do think that then those doors were not meant to for me. You know, they were not meant for me. Because if they're meant for you, then something else will happen. Some other, like, it will be revealed to you. I always believe that, like, you can believe in God, the universe, whatever you want to believe in. But what I believe is that whenever a door doesn't work out, whenever I cannot walk through that door, is for a reason. And I really think that I was just being protected by God by then. And God knows what could have happened if I moved forward. Sometimes a no can be a blessing and just God protecting you.
And that's like such a beautiful, positive outlook on such a negative situation. And it shouldn't have happened in the first place, but you're absolutely right. I mean, if this is how he was treating you before potentially getting signed, just imagine. And here's the other thing. People show you who they truly are when you tell them no.
Yes. Yeah.
When you set a boundary.
Yeah.
Those people will show their true colors. If they do not respect what you want for yourself and what's right for yourself, they're going to be upset.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and talking about fear too, like in that moment, like I was obviously like scared of losing the opportunities, but like we're saying, we gotta push past that fear, because I could have just been like, I'm just gonna stay shut and let this happen, and you know, we'll see what happens later on, or if he decides to behave in even in a worse way.
Yes.
But my gut feeling was like, you have to say this right now, because this cannot keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And even if that meant that I didn't get signed with those labels, it means that I'm here now and I didn't have to go through whatever else was written for that path, you know?
I mean, for everyone watching, I mean, take ARIA's experience as an incredible learning lesson, because...
Thank you.
How do I say this? I know what it feels like. You know what it feels like to be so excited about a potential opportunity and something to happen that you want to potentially, you're like, should I stay silent? Should I not say anything? What should I do? This is something I've wanted forever. You know, we're so passionate about what we do that we're afraid to lose opportunities.
Yes.
But exactly what you were saying, it was not the right one because he had bad intentions for you.
Yes.
And so that situation isn't pushing past fear. It's trusting your gut that it's not the right door, even if it's open, and that you can walk away and there will be the right opportunities for you, because the more that you say no to those doors, the wrong doors, the more right doors will open.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I feel like in that sense, I did push the fear of like losing the opportunity. You know what I mean? But it was more like, it was for good. It was like you just said, it's better to lose, you know, quote unquote, the opportunity that is being presented, but you keep your peace of mind. I feel like that's so much more important than anything else that can be happening. Like, the whole world can be falling apart, but if you have that peace of mind, what else do you need? You know?
Yes. And at the core of it all, loving yourself, trusting yourself, being good to yourself. Because if you lose that, you lose everything, and you lose your sense of purpose and self, giving away, because you can't, if you say yes to everyone, there won't be any you left.
Yeah.
Because what makes you you is saying, okay, this is who I am. This is
Your
what
decisions.
I want. Your decisions. And if you say yes to everybody, you're going to lose yourself.
Yeah.
And I know that especially women, so many women are taught to be people pleasers. When you're growing up, they want a hug, give them a hug, or they want this, or be presentable, or be beautiful, be sweet, be kind. You know, if you say no or you have attitude, then it's going to be unacceptable.
What's wrong with you?
And like, that's not very girl-like, you know, that's not very like ladylike.
Yeah.
And so we are taught from a young age as women that we
people pleasers.
are people pleasers, and we are meant to take care of everyone
Yeah.
before ourselves. And if you take care of yourself first, it's selfish.
Yeah.
And that's just not true.
Mm-mm.
Loving yourself first means that you care enough about yourself
Yeah.
to be able to be strong enough to give back in the ways that are healthy, in the ways that you can.
Yes, I love that actually. I love that. I do think that, it just popped in my mind. If you're wondering, okay, but how do I express myself? First of all, think of your vision. If you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you, whatever you're doing out there, right? Man or woman, doesn't matter. Think of your vision first and then see if that door aligns with your vision, because that's what's going to take you somewhere. If you don't have a vision, you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, what are you doing? Ooh.
Say it louder, girl. Yes.
I'm just like, I don't know why I felt like I had to say that, because I was like, sometimes we wonder, where do I start? Start with your vision. What's your goal? And then set different goals for that goal. Because like we have one goal, right? But you need small steps to get to that big step. So what can you do today that you're going to be able to look back tomorrow and be like, I needed that. That helped me. That got me somewhere that I needed to be at. That got me the knowledge. That got me the experience. Like, what can you do today to get closer to your goal, to your passion, to whatever you're going for now? Because I feel like sometimes when we think of the past, we get depressed. If we think of the future, we get anxious. But if we think of today, what can you do today to make a change?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just like spitting knowledge here. I just love it because I do think that so many people get rooted in the future and they're scared and in the past, and exactly what you said is so true. Focusing on the present, and to go back to the push past fear, I think that also in all of those small steps, ask yourself, am I afraid of this because it's not the right thing? Or am I afraid of this because do I not think I deserve it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And believe that you do.
Yes.
And so, even my mantra this year, which I know we've talked about it, is that push past fear in those moments where I get afraid or I say, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I...
Am I good enough?
Am I good enough? If I am the one limiting myself and I think about that with the decisions I'm making and what I decide to do, if I'm the one limiting myself, I say yes. Because we are our biggest critics. We are the ones that limit ourselves more than anyone else in this life ever will.
That is so true. That is so true. That makes us never truly finished. That song could be better. That, I feel that 100%. But, that's also part of like the beauty of artistry and like in general, say musicians, whoever you are, the beauty of the entertainment industry is that there is no limit. Truly. Whatever you want to do out there, you can do it. When it comes to music, when it comes to be creative, whatever is in your mind, like we were saying, the vision, you can put it out there. And the amazing thing about that too is you can help somebody by doing that. Like the same way, I'm sure if you watch this, if you want to put a message out there and inspire other people, it's like a chain, right?
Yes.
It's like, how do they call that? Butterfly effect? I don't remember. Or domino effect? Yes, domino effect. So just by creating something, by putting something out there, you're putting that energy out there, and that can mean so much to other people when they see it from somebody else too. Because somebody might have been, somebody's hearing this now, and then they might be like, hey, let me post this or let me talk about this with somebody, and then you're just helping people. And to me, that's like also part of why I started with music, because my goal has always been to help people to feel understood and just like heard by others, because I mean, what's more beautiful than doing something that you cannot even see or you cannot touch, but that can be felt?
Absolutely.
And just change lives, inspire others, motivate others, no matter what they're going through. Let them feel understood, let them feel loved, or let them, I hear a lot of people that are like, I didn't know what I was going through until I heard this song and the lyrics said exactly what I was feeling, even though I didn't know I was feeling that way. And I was like, that's so beautiful. Yeah. That's so beautiful. So it's a big responsibility to have, but it's so, when it comes with a vision, you can make it come to life. And then that's what's going to change your life and everybody else's life. Even if you don't mean to, it will happen. Trust me. Just keep your head in that and think of that. Like, I don't know. To me, it just blows my mind, like thinking of like music that way too, because it's such a, we don't really think about it that way, but it's such a beautiful and pure thing when we do it from the heart.
Absolutely. I mean, Aria, you're an inspiration, honestly.
Thanks.
I mean, everything you do was with such heart and such passion, and I'm
Thank
truly
you.
inspired by that.
Same
And
goes to you. That's why we're here. Is like I feel like we feed off each other's energy, and it's
Yeah.
always such a like, it's almost like healing, you know? Because it's like when you're around people that just have that same energy, that have the same intention of loving, caring, helping, and
Yes.
creating. What else do you need to succeed? You know, because you can keep your other circle and you know, be like, what am I even doing here? They're not supporting me. I don't feel understood. I feel like there's jealousy, whatever it is, right? Or you can surround yourself with a few people that will truly push you further.
there's this is kind of a random thing, but it made me think of it. There's something called magnetic desire,
Oh, I never heard of that.
and it's there's actually kind of science around it too, but it's kind of about manifestation and your vision and believing in something so hard and working so hard to make it happen. But magnetic desire also has to do with what you want to do, the why. Like, ask logically why, but also just hold your heart and think, okay, what is the reason behind why I want to do this?
Wow.
What's the emotion? And so the magnetism, you know, we are what we attract, right?
Yes, that
But
is
if
so
you
true.
have your heart, your soul in something, that desire is exponential. I mean, it
Yes.
just grows even further. So
Yeah.
when we are doing things that we believe so strongly in and that can make a positive difference,
Yeah.
I believe that, you know, that can just make something happen.
Wow, that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. I feel like definitely when there's passion,
Yes.
whatever you do, as long as there's passion and you're not harming others or being mean to others, of course, then you'll succeed. You know, because it's
Yes.
like your intentions are so pure that again, whatever you believe in the universe, God will take care of you.
Yeah, just to kind of conclude what we were talking about. I mean, that's a huge part of what fuels me is how can I help my younger self in the way that
Yes.
she wasn't helped or protected in that time, and I can do that for the younger generation.
Wow.
And just thinking of, hey, what if this was here when I was there? How
Yeah.
amazing would that have been? And as hard as those experiences were, they also showed me exactly what I don't want and exactly what I don't
Yes.
want other people to experience, which is what I think
Wow.
we are so passionate about what we're doing. Also, just doing this podcast and talking about these
Yeah.
things and having people not feel as alone just because so many of these stories are silenced.
That is so true. And what you just said too about that's a good question to ask yourself. Like, who are you? What are you doing? What is your goal? Right? Like we were saying, what's your vision? How can you get there while still keeping yourself true to yourself, right? Like
Yes.
so how do you stay true to yourself while following your calling, right?
Yeah, and with the doors that we talked about, it's not even just specific opportunities
Yeah.
that you're going to say no to that aren't right in the end that will lead you to the right opportunities. It's also the right people.
Yes.
So when you say no to the wrong people and you say this is behavior that I will not accept,
Yeah.
you will find the people that do support you and love
Yeah.
you and encourage you and you're excited to work with and that
Yes.
truly have the best intentions for you. I mean, there are incredible people in this industry
I completely
that you will find
Yeah.
if you stay true to yourself and you don't allow bad behavior to be okay.
Yes. And also to clarify, saying your point of view does not have to be in a disrespectful way. You can still be kind and express how you feel.
Yes.
You know, because I feel like maybe sometimes it's like, ew, don't touch me. Like, I don't want to get with you just because you're a pretty, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. It can be in a really gentle way and be like, look, this is not what I'm going for. but it's still stand your ground. Because sometimes they'll try to convince you, right? Sometimes they'll be like, but what if? No, I said my point of view, and just be brave. Push forward. And if they wanna, if they truly are working with you for your talent, they'll stay and they'll respect your boundaries. But if they just want something else, then they either will walk away themselves, or you can just make that decision and leave and wait for, like you said, the right people to come around.
But that is such an important point that you just made, which is you can handle things in a professional, kind, but firm manner.
Yes.
And I think that that also, hey, when you go into a situation, stay true to yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
But if the kind, professional, firm route doesn't work, that's when you can say, okay, back the fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true.
Like, all right, you're not listening to me or respecting my boundaries or what's best for me. That's just where it's not okay anymore.
No.
And you have to walk away.
No.
And I know that that can be really hard, because I think also we don't like when somebody doesn't like us or doesn't want to work with us, or, you know, we want everyone to love everyone.
Yeah.
But it's okay to say no, because those people are not the right people for you if they don't respect your boundaries and what's right for you.
Yes.
The people I hold close in my life, I can say what is best for me and what I need in the moment, and they will understand and they will respect it, and vice versa.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
that is so important. And it's also okay to agree to disagree sometimes. They might have a point of view, you might have a point of view, right? But be okay to agreeing to that disagreement. And if you feel like you need to walk away, walk away. You don't need to stay in something that doesn't fulfill you, that doesn't make you happy, that doesn't make you comfortable, that doesn't let you be in that vulnerable spot that we need to be when we make music. So yeah, it's so important, the people that you're around, just from the friendships to the work relationships. And yeah, man, that everything we talked about today is so much that I'm like, my head is like processing everything.
yeah.
But
went deep today.
We went really deep. We went deeper than we thought, actually.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say with what you were just saying now is I just had it and then it just escaped me. Just the part about agreeing to disagree.
Yes.
Because we are gonna work with so many different people and we're going to connect with so many different people. I mean, look at you and I.
Yeah.
We are different,
but
our differences make us beautiful. And as long as we can love and respect each other through those differences, that's what matters.
Yeah.
I love going in and having conversations with people of different backgrounds, different, you know, you learn so much.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea of, hey, you can also agree to disagree. And you can say, hey, okay, that's something you think, or that's whatever it is. I might not fully align with that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I just think that the world would be a better place if we could all do that.
Yeah. And stay respectful about it, right? Because it's like what we were saying, you can say your point of view and still be able to agree to disagree and walk away in a good way, instead of like having a fight, unless of course they go far with like what you were saying, where you just need to say, stop, like this is it, you know. But I always recommend people, just in general, with any industry or friendship, whatever it is that you're dealing with, like definitely when you decide to walk away, I would say try to do it still with love, regardless of the situation. Always keep that love within, because at the end of the day, that's affecting you, right?
Yes.
So it's like when we walk away angry, when we walk away being like, oh well, F you, or whatever it is, right? Like, yeah, in that moment we might feel that, but at the end of the day, that's poisoning you. So
oh my gosh, yes. I was literally just thinking, that anger, that only hurts you.
Yes, and we don't need that. We just say, you know what, that wasn't for me, moving on. Of course, if the situation goes to a different point, then seek out for the help that you need to overcome that, or whatever it is.
I mean, we just went really deep in this episode. Not that I'm surprised, but I know that some of this isn't easy for people to talk about, and it's a tough subject. So kind of what we said earlier, just know you're supported, you're loved, you're not alone if you've experienced these things. And please reach out to us, message us, comments,
Yes.
whatever you're comfortable with. We would love to hear from you.
And also, if you have any topics that you might want us to talk about or whatever ideas, we're more than willing to listen to that. If you want to comment it or DM us, like, we love to hear you guys and, you know, your experiences, or if you have any questions. And yeah, that's it for this episode.
Wow, that's a wrap. Second episode.
Yes.
We did it.
Well, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn the notifications on, and we love you guys. Thank you for all the support. Thank you,
you.
Katie, for being so amazing.
Thank you, Aria.
Love your energy, as
I love you.
always.
You're the best.
And we'll see you on the next episode.